Hello friends. So today, after having discussed the syllabus, as you would have seen in my previous lectures, 14 in number, having discussed the syllabus and the previous year's questions, from today onwards I would be getting into the groove of the class. So before that, I would like to tell you something. Do not consider it as an advertisement. Uh, like this is my new book, which has recently got published. Vade Mekam, as I was telling, the name of the class also is Vade Mekam. So this book caters to the present day demands of UPSC questions, because the case studies you have come across case studies till now. You have come across case studies which have been very you can say very raw case study, like black and white type. But from now onwards, case study questions, and apart from that, all the things that are happening at the global level, and not only that, things that are happening in India, and most important thing is the epidemics, the ethics within the ethics during epidemics is also important. So like all these things caters, as I have written lexicon. But I thought now you would ask me a question, why same book on the same topic by the same author. But that book was written in 2013 for the first time, and now we are into 2020. So lots of like we can say now, lot of water has flown under the bridge, and you need to have a newer insights. So this book caters to the new realities of GS paper 4, and it also is very useful for paper 2, paper 3, and your essay paper, as well as for your personality test. Not only that, it also augurs well for the society part of paper 1, and most important, it makes you think ethically. So all the answers that you write comes out in a genuine manner. So that I feel I have tried to make this book in a very conversational style, and you would feel as if a teacher is talking to you. I have used first person. I am telling you, I told you that ethical dilemma. Like this, I have used the term so that this book sounds in a very conversational style. So if you like it, you buy it. Okay. So today, in today's class, I would be discussing about some of the issues that are related to ethics in pandemic, or ethics during pandemic, you can say in that way. Why I am discussing this? Because from today onwards I have to discuss word meaning. But I thought that it is better way to start, to make a start from a topic which has become very relevant. Okay, so from today onwards, today I would be discussing some things related to pandemic. Maybe this class would be more useful for people who are writing mains this time, or as UPSC has this trend, it always puts question with a 1 year lag time. So maybe pandemic question would come in next year, but since pandemic was such a phenomenal incidence, I don't think that some of the case study would not be coming on pandemic. Okay, so if I take something related to ethics and EI during pandemic, emotional intelligence during pandemic. See, actually, there are some of the aspects, like some of the aspects which you should know. Okay, like some of the acts you should know. Not complete act, as you know, RTI, as I have discussed in my previous class, that section 8 and section 2 of RTI becomes important. You do not have to become a lawyer in that you have to know everything. So RTI, or like you have to know about NDPS. Okay, some of the provisions, Prevention of Corruption Act. So similarly, NTMA. Okay, some of the sections, section 51 to 60, which relates to penal provisions. Okay, and then you also have to, it's a very small act, Epidemic Disease Act of 1890. 7. Recently, government made amendments into this act and made it applicable by making in after making in those amendments. Okay, so these are some of the provisions. Why I am telling you to read this? Because based on these two acts, lots of heavy-handed approach was applied by the police people. So in Karnataka, a person who was beaten very badly and incarcerated, imprisoned, just because people thought that he was not disclosing that he has pandemic. This was in the initial days. Then a journalist who criticized the local administration and CM as well for not doing much for as per the requirement that pandemic required for. That journalist was again incarcerated based on these laws. So maybe case study can come up. Okay. Apart from these things, you also have to know some of the some of the things in very briefly. Some of the things you have to know, like ethical dilemma faced by healthcare professionals during this time. As I have written in my book, in one of the it might come as a as a excuse me, it might come as a case like. Suppose you would be told to play a role play. You would be told to play the role of a doctor who was working in a corona hospital, but he was detected corona and he was showing asymptomatic symptoms. He was not showing symptoms as such, and he then quarantined himself in his home. But during those times, all the emergency ambulance and the hospitals were running to packed to its capacity. Some of your nearest neighbor, he faced a sudden cardiac arrest, and as it is said in the medical terminology, the golden hour during which medical intervention must reach to that person who faced that cardiac arrest. And that golden hour, the family of that person who experienced that cardiac arrest called hospital and emergency, but those people said that it's not possible, or we are already outstretched. Maybe we would come, but maybe after 2 hours. So a family member of that house comes to you. You have already spent about a week in quarantine. They come to you and they say that okay, we are conversant of the risk factors, but then you please come and treat my father. Whatever emergency injections are to be injected, you treat my father. We are ready to take the risk. In that situation, what you would do? Which type of ethical dilemma which you would be having? And what is the context of this situational crisis? As a moral agent, what you would do? So these are some of the case study which can come. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. Okay, so these are some of the case study which I have built, and all the case studies has been built according to the specifications of Kardos and Smith, according to whom, or they were the real progenitor of case study pedagogy, and their conditions, all the conditions that a case study should have, they have basically said about those conditions. And UPSC, whatever case study UPSC comes in your examination, those case study have every conditions mentioned by Kardos and Smith fulfilled in their case study. A case study should have ample information. It should have ethical dilemma or conflict of interest, but information should be explicit as well as implicit, but information should be genuine based upon which questions are coming. So all the case studies have been made in my book according to the specific directions of Kardos and Smith. So these are some of the case study which I have built. So like ethical dilemma faced by healthcare professionals. Okay, I am reading from my book itself. Then like health security versus data security. This is also important. Health security versus data privacy. This becomes important for the simple reason that Arogya Setu, these type of tracing mechanism which had been applied everywhere throughout the world, whether you take France, Germany, Western countries, or in developing countries. Okay, wherever there was a basic infrastructure of IT, it was applicable there. So in India we had Arogya Setu, today only a case like yesterday in Hindu newspaper I was studying a case related to RTI, because that Arogya Setu is still not included into RTI. A person filed a case in RTI regarding the third party arrangement related to this Arogya Setu, and the Arogya Setu people said that we would not be providing. So in this particular dimension, we would be talking about the health security versus data privacy. Arogya Setu demands a lot of data from you. Government says that those data are in anonymous format. They are basically not data, they are metadata, and they are kept in a server for a time being, after which the whole data gets repleted off. But who is the third party who is basically working all these things? And apart from that, in India we have centralized server system. Centralized data is located. Okay, some of the countries like France and Germany had decentralized. So they say that we are applying centralized model so that data could be kept in a more secured manner. But then what about all those data, and what about your privacy? Article 21. In a situation of pandemic, it is always considered a fact that people tend to give away their privacy, because for them at that particular time security becomes more important. But then what is the limit? Okay, so these are some of the issues, maybe morality of the moral impinges or the moral challenges of collecting data in a country where a right to privacy is considered as fundamental right. Okay, so this is one of the issues that can come. Then after that, we also come across an issue related to welfare state policy versus rational state policy. This is another welfare state policy versus rational state policy. Why do I use the word rational? Because see, welfare state government is coming up with about 20 lakh crore of interventions, financial interventions. It is said that about 10 to 11% of India's GDP would be thrown in to fight this corona as fiscal measures. Okay, so like Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Yojana, Prime Minister Anna Yojana. Okay, all this loan, the interest on loan moratorium, or interest on loan, or loan being completely rubbed off. Okay, so but then what is happening? The fiscal deficit is growing. Fiscal deficit is growing, and always remember this thing: all the initial hike that we are seeing in India's GDP, it is just because it is temporary, because it is just a slight like pent up demand was there. Okay, as market opened, the whole thing came out. But the inflation, if like government is spending so much of money through fiscal measures, first of all, what happens to fiscal deficit? Okay, and second is, what would happen to inflationary pressure in the coming days when the supply side itself is completely at its lowest level? Manufacturers are not able to manufacture. Okay, so demand side, okay, government is giving money to people so that they can buy things. But what happens when people have money, they go to market, but they are unable to find those products because those products are not being manufactured by the manufacturers because of the labor and all those other issues. Okay, so naturally inflation would creep in. And rational, what should be the rational approach rather than fiscal interventions and a rational state approach? Okay, so these things can also come in a very different format, maybe in the context of ethics, maybe in the context of new public administration, and these things also become very relevant for your paper 3 as well, paper 2 as well, and maybe based on this particular aspect your essay can also come. Okay, so then another issue which comes up is like depression and other mental issues. Depression and other mental issues related to this particular other mental issues. Okay, concept like work from home. Okay, as on October 11th we celebrate World Mental Day, Mental Act was also passed. Okay, and now it is running. Mental Act has already been implemented, but this particular pandemic has thrown in lots of anxiety issues, lots of issues related to PTSD type of things, post traumatic stress disorder type of thing. How could that post traumatic stress disorder could be converted into post traumatic stress rehabilitation, or post traumatic stress growth, you can say. And what is this work from home? Like in the initial days, we when after working for 5 or 7 days, all the people who had worked earlier in their career before coming into this UPSC preparation, 10 दिन काम किए, अब लगता है एक दिन यार थकावट है, या काम घर से मैनेज कर सकते हैं, आज तो आईटी का जमाना है, सारा डिजिटल है, तो और हम जो है वो वाइट कॉलर एम्प्लॉय हैं, तो बोले आज ऑफिस में मैनेजर से बात कर लेंगे, चलो वर्क फ्रॉम होम, ठीक है। तो पहले तो उस तरीके का था, एक एडहॉक मैकेनिज्म था, बट नाउ वर्क फ्रॉम होम इज बिकमिंग स्ट्रीमलाइंड। इनफैक्ट आफ्टर पैंडेमिक lots of companies have started to see this as an opportunity, because they do not want to they do not want to invest in real estate property or real estate office space in some of the most expensive localities. Okay, why Hero Honda company would be buying a table and a seat and a chamber, a room for you with AC and everything, which cost about 35,000 per month for that Hero Honda, where you are doing everything which can also be replicated or which can also be done from your house. At least company would be spending 35,000 rupees. So work from home is becoming more and more streamlined. But there are issues related to work from home. First of all, you become left out. You are not into that office politics. In this book, I have also talked about office politics. Office politics is a very optimized format in which the information is exchanged between employees. Okay, office politics has its own demerits as well, but office politics really makes you grow and mature as a team member. Okay, so what happens about that office politics? Then you are always in that paranoid state, what people are playing against me. Then the Google Meet and Zoom and all those new software has come. It becomes very cumbersome when more than 5 or 8 people are there. People are not looking at the emotional side, emotional expression of the faces. Okay, then you are always 24/7, you are always on the you are always expected to work anytime mail would come. So what should be the role of the team leader, so that you do not feel anxiety, you do not feel? What about the salary cut that is happening? Okay, what about the appraisal, because that was appraisal time when all this pandemic hit. Okay, March, April, and always on the tenterhooks, always feeling that, okay, always having that tendency to look at mail, whether some mail has come from boss. Okay, so all these things related to the psychological aspects of work from home, and this particular work from home feeding into this depression and mental issues, anxiety, stress disorder. Okay, so this thing also has become important as far as ethics during pandemics and emotional intelligence is concerned. There is a particular way to handle Google Meet, how you can create a story, how you can calm down the temper, how you can calm the anxiety level, how being a team leader you can always put that assurance face to your employee who are working under you rather. Okay, so these are some of the ways. Maybe a case study can come up where you are being told to play a role play of a team leader in work from home scenario. Okay, and one of your employee is severely under that anxiety and stress attack. Okay, whether he's in or he would be. Lots of retrenchment has also happened. Okay, so what is the best way, or what is the way where you can counsel your employee? Maybe you can create for some post retrenchment training module. Maybe you can talk with some HR agencies, hiring agencies, so that they could be re-employed and rehabilitated. So these are varied issues are there. Okay, I'm trying to punch in all these, like I'm trying to pack in all these issues in this video, but as I would be taking classes related to case study and everything, all these things would be discussed in a more granular format. Then we are talking about the furlough scheme. I don't know how you pronounce. My pronunciation is very like what should I say? Very country type. Furlough scheme. So furlough scheme was in this scheme basically government says that we would be paying the salary of private sector employee as well when they are sitting at their home if nothing is happening. Like UK said that 80% of the salary would be paid by us. In India, a direct furlough did not happen, but a sort of thing was happening where like the moratorium on loan, EMI and everything was happening. Government was paying. Okay, so those are some of the issues. Maybe you would be told to design a furlough scheme in a scenario of pandemic like that. What would be the criteria, what would be the qualities, and what would be the limits of those furlough scheme. Okay. Then loan and EMI restructuring in furlough only I have discussed. Then related to issues related to universal health coverage. Okay, lots of discussion is happening in India as far as universal health coverage is concerned. That we should have a model of where every people is covered under insurance. Atal insurance scheme was there, but the limits or the Jan Arogya Yojana, okay, 5 lakh limit. But then the ground root realities or ground root implementation of those schemes are not happening in a very correct manner. And what about a coverage, an insurance scheme where you are covered for 5 lakh rupees and you go to a private hospital, a corona ward, and there they are charging 1 lakh rupees for a night stay with ventilator and all. So if you are staying there for 10 or 15 days, I have come across people, like some of my friends are doctor in Gangaram, they have said that the person died and with the dead body a bill of 8 lakh rupees was thrown to the family members. But okay, they were capable of paying. But what about designing that type of universal health coverage where where with a very good actuarial pool system, pooling of the resources, you can design a sustainable health coverage which can also cater to this pandemic. Okay, so that issue. Then we come to universal vaccination, as we are like WHO program COVAX. It is talking about coming up with a vaccine as soon as possible. But then what about the distribution and proper distribution and implementation? Because you know, vaccine, this type of monoclonal or RNA based vaccine or viral based vaccine requires a temperature which is below freezing. Okay, so what about distribution, where in India lots of places do not have electricity as yet? Okay, maybe we can have solar powered freezing unit which could be mobile. So all these type of things. Vaccine nationalism is also an issue. Vaccine nationalism, maybe this issue can also come in your paper 2 as well, international relation. Okay, it can come there also. Maybe in paper 3 as well, national security, because pandemic is also an issue related to national security. Okay, paper 4, it has implementation as far as the ethics of vaccine nationalism. Because see, before this pandemic, I have never heard of this word called vaccine nationalism. I heard about resource nationalism, or I heard about market nationalism. Okay, but I never heard of this term. Matlab, this shows the amount of inward-looking approach that these global leaders has inculcated themselves into, particularly after the coming of Trump. So inward looking, everybody, and this is such a Presbyterian meaning this is such a below average thinking. Not to use that term, idiotic thinking, below average thinking. How can America become completely prevented or completely off with this corona if it applies vaccine nationalism to such an extent that whatever manufacturers, because most of the MNC and big manufacturers like Pfizer, Eli Lilly are situated there only. If they prepare a vaccine and America provides money to those manufacturers and buys all the vaccine, because there is a manufacturing capacity is also has to be built up also slow, and that would only come up gradually. So if America buys all the vaccines for its 380 million people, do you think that even if America injects everybody with that vaccine, America would be safe? So many people are coming in America, so many people are coming out of America, Mexico. Okay, those people. So this is like a below average thinking. Vaccine nationalism shows the amount of inward looking approach that these leaders has come up into. Okay, so vaccine nationalism has become an important issue. Okay, some of the global treaties which has been signed under the aegis of WHO, even India is not party to that treaty, because WHO, those treaty says that there should be equitable and exigent distribution of, like as soon as possible distribution of vaccine, and first of all the front end workers the doctors, nurses, the paramedic staff and the government staff and the public servant should be given this vaccine, and there should not be any partiality. Okay, but then countries like USA, India, Australia did not become party to that. Naturally, China has signed that WHO agreement, but India, Australia, USA is not party to that. So it shows the amount of that fear, amount of that inward looking approach. Okay, if India becomes completely like everybody is given vaccine, how do you think that India would become completely safe from anybody coming from Sri Lanka or Nepal? It was only one person in Wuhan who got first of all this disease, and now see, as today only I was studying, about 44.1 million people has been affected till now, out of which 1.1 million has died, and in just this past week in Europe itself, about 1.35 million again got infected, out of which more than 11,000 died. So you cannot have this approach. What is the morality? What is the morality or ethical context in which government are moving towards this thing? So you can criticize it, but first of all you should also have a very good understanding of what is vaccine nationalism. Okay, so this issue, I have taken all these issues in my book in a very granular and relevant format. I have not gone wayward, I have not tried to describe it, but the amount of knowledge, amount of information that you need, I have given in that, I have tried to give in that book. Then you have intra-family issues like domestic violence. Domestic violence increased a lot during this time of pandemic, when people were completely shut up in their house. They completely got limited without any job avenues, and with the issues related to anxiety and stress. Lots of domestic violence, because that pent up frustration, that pent up anger or pent up insecurity got overboard into their mind and got splashed out onto their female a party to the family. Okay, so those issues related to domestic, in any scenario, domestic violence happens in India. Okay, and domestic violence and issues related to gender equity and gender treating gender in a nice manner. The case study has always been coming. One case study related to that always comes. Okay, so maybe this time that case study would have a certain coloration to it related to this domestic violence. Okay, then we come to geriatric care and hospice care. Geriatric care means all those old people, because this pandemic has basically thrown in a very what should I say, a very peculiar situation, because children and old age people with no comorbidities like diabetes and all those disease, and old age people who was hale and hearty, the mortality in old age people and children was very less, but the mortality rate within those active youth, that means from 19 to 45 years, was highest, and in that also the mortality within men was 70% higher than women. So issues related to geriatric care, issues related to hospice. Okay, then issues related to online education. What has happened to education, online education, and the implications and the anxieties and the stress. People are saying that this year 2020 is academic zero year, for the simple reason that still now, in fact yesterday's Hindu, it was written Acer report. Okay, Acer report said that people are not having books at their disposal. So how can you expect that they would be having smartphone in their house, and smartphone with a proper internet connection with a proper bandwidth? Okay, so online education, and what are the implications, how could this, but in the coming days online education again, like work from home, online education would pick interaction. More and more online education or online education platforms promoted by government as well as promoted by private corporations would become more and more normal. But in the present scenario, the issues related to online education, that is also an important issue. Then we come to one topic which is like slightly metaphysical in the sense that philosophical in sense, but ethics paper also has that philosophical dimension. Maybe some saying can come this time related to death. Accept death as the only reality. Why as a civilization, though we are such an old civilization, why as a civilization we always have been afraid of death? Why we do not enamor, or why we do not accept as a reality? Why we feel fearful? Why we feel death as an impure thing or impure incidence? We all as human beings share only one reality we share, whether that be king or that be scoundrel, we all have to die. So death has an issue, and all the, because see, people went into panic in the initial days. Till now also most of the people are in panic. Most of the people know, but people still are in panic related to this. They have become like obsessive compulsive disorder होता है ना, अपने हाथ को बार बार धोना, वो भी डॉक्टर बता रहा है कि बार बार अगर हाथ में सैनिटाइजर यूज करोगे वो भी खराब है, क्योंकि उससे इम्यूनिटी पावर जो है वो कमजोर हो जाता है, क्योंकि आप सारा बैक्टीरिया जर्म्स और जितना माइक्रो जो कीटाणु है उसको आप मार दे रहे हो. ठीक है, तो व्हाट अबाउट द इश्यू रिलेटेड टू डेथ? Okay, why people are panicked so much? Okay, and like if I say that in India about in India how many people have died till now? Government figure says that in India about 45, 49, 50, 54,000 people have died, where in their death certificate it was written COVID, but official figures are official figures. So 50,000 families have that bereavement. Maybe 4 or 5 families related to that family. That means about 2 lakh family have that close sense of bereavement. So what is exactly, why do we fear death so much? This is also an issue which is very important. Okay, so that death issue also becomes important. How as a society we should deal with, and we have come from a civilization which has always been comfortable. We have always been comfortable. The concept of Gita, okay, the concept of Upanishad, the concept of Vedas, they have taught. But as slowly we got into this culture of safety, where we had all sorts of things delivered to us at the click of the mouse, and everything became very, as more and more safety, as more and more orderliness, as more and more predictability happened in our life, we became oblivious of this fact that death is also a reality. So death as an issue, or death, acceptability of death, maybe a case study can be built in and around this thing. Okay, there is a very good book written by Atul Gawande. He was the chief physician of Barack Obama, the US president. He is Indian origin person and he's a cancer specialist, and he has written very beautifully regarding the aspect of accepting death as the reality. In that book he has said that rather than because since he is a cancer specialist, cancer surgeon, he says that in about 100 patient that comes in surgery and do all those medical interventions, I know from the beginning itself that 80 people would die because they are already in the last stages of cancer. But their family members are still very, very emphatic that no, you do whatever it could be done to prolong or to defeat death. Death is not defeated, but only their pain is prolonged. Not only that, nobody wants to see their relative, their near and dear ones, their parents, heavily in coma, in vegetative state, with all types of tube and all types of ventilation and all. That person is not even able to speak the last words, the signing of words to his family. So those things becomes important as an emotional issue. It becomes important. Okay. Then we come to the issue related to labor migration. Okay. See, labor migration is very, very important for paper 2 as well, constitution, because ironically, or should I say depressingly, in India we do not have an official data of how many people who have migrated, particularly those push migration. It depends upon which organization you believe in, and most of the organization providing that data is private. Okay, some of the people say that it is in the range of about 5 crore. Some of the people say that it is in the range of 20 crore. So it depends whose data. Government says that it is in the range of about 8 to 9 lakh, 11 lakh maybe. But they do not have any official statistics. And you saw what happened during that time, all those migrants, how they were coming back to their villages. It is a sociological or socio-psychological dimension also, even if that person migrated from his village, in a very desperate situation, he migrated out from his village when he had nothing. Nobody wants to leave their house. Even if that person migrated out from his village, then also if he feels that he is going to die or something, apocalypse, those people are mostly illiterate also. I should not be using the word illiterate. They are not men of letters. So those people, they thought that it is better, if I have to die, it is better that I die in my village among my people, so that at least my body would be cremated in my village. Okay, see the way in which all those migration was happening. the people who slept on the railway tracks, considering that now railway is not moving. I'm talking the incidents of April, May, and those people were run over. 20 laborers died. And in their bag, what was found? Half-baked roti and onions. So it was very pathetic. People were moving in cycle. They were taking their old age parents with them. They were taking pregnant wife with them, small child, and they were walking. Some of the people have walked. I do not believe, but it was newspaper report that people have walked from Mumbai to Uttar Pradesh, or they have cycled from Bangalore to Bihar. I don't know. I am unable to comprehend that. Because of that only, I am telling that it's not possible for me to believe, but it has happened. So those issues related to labor migration, maybe you are a DM, maybe the empathy issue, the compassion issue, maybe you are DM of a place from where lots of people are migrating out. So what facility you would provide, what interventions you would take? Okay, like people coming in, and lots of rumor was also happening in WhatsApp. So what provisions you would take so that those rumors do not spread? A rumor spread that buses are plying from Noida, and all those people from Bombay and Rajasthan, they came to Noida, and they were heavily bombarded with water, basically they were water boarded with chlorine. These are all inhuman ways to deal this issue. Okay, so maybe you would be considered to play a role of a DM from where lots of migrants are moving out, or a DM of a place where lots of migrants are coming, or a DM of a place where those migrants are coming and locating themselves in a transition, like in a transition phase. Then they would be distributed. Like I come from Jharkhand, Dhanbad. My Dhanbad was my city was created as a transition zone, from which all those people who are coming, because Dhanbad is located on the main railway track. Okay, Delhi, Howrah main railway track, Dhanbad is located. So all those people who were coming, even Ranchi, the capital of Jharkhand, was not made as this transition zone. All those people, they were centralized. They were basically deporting themselves in Dhanbad, and then they were being distributed to their place, their native places, through bus, through other facilities provided by the DM of that place. Okay, and the human angle related to this issue of migration, where 20% of the Indian population, maybe 18% of the Indian population, 17% of the Indian population lives as migrants. What is the human angle to it? And what is the long-term solution? Why don't we have a very spread out development model, rather than creating certain growth poles of or growth islands within an ocean of ill-developed or non-developed places? Why so many people are coming to Delhi to have to take admission in Delhi University, where cutoff is going to inhuman level, 100% cutoff? Why government is not able to build a proper university in every state? Nobody wants to leave their house, and most of the people do not have that much of money also to come and survive in Delhi. And because of so much of influx of students, see the way in which they are badly fleeced, or they are badly exploited by the landlords, by those rent dealers, those property dealers. So this issue, then we come to environmental issue, and how the pandemic basically has brought in this concept of green development. People say that those 3 months were the cleanest month the world has ever seen, because 85% of the country, 85% of the world completely closed, and those 3 months or 2.5 months were the cleanest environmentally after the post-industrial phase. Carbon dioxide is in the range of about 420 parts per million. In that time, carbon dioxide reach to its minimum level. So a green development model could be thought of. Maybe rather than treating this, okay, this pandemic is a curse on humanity. But why don't the state and the government and the world leaders think it as a learning stock, as an opportunity? Most of the nations are doing that now. Whatever we would be doing, it would be green development, green GDP, or greening of the GDP. Okay. Related to this issue is also an issue. These pandemics are also happening, or the intensity, frequency and periodicity of these pandemics are happening at such a level. There is also reason related to environment. Okay, warming of the weather conditions really assist these type of happenings. Okay. So now we see in cold temperate countries also we are seeing the cases of malaria. Malaria cases is also being found in countries like Denmark, जहाँ मच्छर हो ही नहीं सकता है, इतना cold है वो. Why? Because the global temperature is rising, and it is rising across the latitude. Okay, so that could be one of the ways. Anyway, environmental issue से related एक case study तो आता ही है, ठीक है. तो मे भी इस बार वो केस स्टडी, इस बार या अगले बार वो केस स्टडी का थोड़ा कलर बदल जाएगा, ठीक है. एंड द लास्ट वन विच आई हैव रिटन इन माय बुक, सी दिस इज द फर्स्ट चैप्टर, एथिक्स एंड EI during if I am able to show you correctly, ethics and EI during pandemic. Okay, so I am basically reading from this only. The last topic which I have discussed in this is NDMA and Epidemic Disease Act, which I have already discussed in the first portion of my lecture only. So these are some of the issues which have become important. See, National Disaster Management Act, a 2005 act, a nascent act you can say. But see, the whole country in those 3 months was operated by this NDMA. Any gazetted information, any gazetted administrative regulation or regulatory provision that was coming out from the central government, all those conditions were circumambulated, or all those conditions was preconditioned to the provisions of NDMA. It is an act which was passed just 15 years back, with certain amendments which happened in 2009 and 2013 and 2015. But the mother act is just 15 years old. But see the importance of that act, that all the ministries of that time was doing work according to the final provisions of NDMA. Any guidelines coming from Ministry of Home, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Ministry of Agriculture, all those had that provision included in that gazetted notification, that subject to the provisions of NDMA and Epidemic Disease Act. Okay, so this NDMA and Epidemic Disease Act, NDMA has already been actually NDMA I discussed in my lexicon as well, but in that also I have discussed some of the things related to pandemic. And one thing I would like to tell you, actually this book took about 2 years time. So in that lockdown I also went to my native place, and there I also got trapped. I should not be using the word trapped, but I also got to stay in my house for about 3 months. And then when I returned back, I was seeing the first print which never came in the market of this book. I was seeing the first print of this book, in which I have taken this Ebola which struck DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and countries like Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda in 2014. And that was also a very infectious disease. And I have discussed that in that first print of my book. Okay, even before this pandemic happened. Actually in 2018 only I discussed those things. 2018 and 2019, in the autumn of 2019 I discussed those things. That if that type of pandemic happens in India, are you prepared for it? with our finances, with our health infrastructure, with our socio-economic infrastructure, with our literacy infrastructure, with our governance infrastructure, with our village panchayati raj institutions infrastructure, with our NGO infrastructure, are we really equipped to deal with this issue? I discussed. So when I was looking for the final print after this lockdown and this pandemic happened, it came as a sigh of, it came as a feeling of contentment that even if the first print would have gone, it would have been sufficient. But after this pandemic, I have tried to make myself more and more granular in this book. And anyway, this lecture was not about promoting my book, but in a way it was to make you conversant with the issues that is important as far as UPSC examination is concerned for GS paper 4. Okay. In fact, essay paper would also have something to do with pandemic this time. This is my speculation. Maybe I could be wrong because I am not claiming that I have seen or I know how they set the paper. No, I am not that big person. उतने बड़े व्यक्ति नहीं हैं हम. लेकिन यह है कि पैंडेमिक इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करेगा. ठीक है. तो with this I am signing off for today. Maybe from tomorrow we would be taking on those terms sequentially. We would be taking in those terms sequentially. So I hope that you like this and you would subscribe to my channel. Whatever you feel, you are free to comment. So thank you.